up? What is up? What is up? How's it going, Robbie?
What's happening, man?
And Zora. Zora's jumping in.
Yeah, Zora.
We got a few people jumping in. We got Six Fingered Assault. How's it going, dude? L&M Guitar Corner. Welcome to my channel. I think this is the first time you've been over here, so welcome. Got a few people coming in, hopefully. There's Trev, MPN 5150. Hey, what's going on? Welcome in, guys. So every time that I watch Laz on Sunday, he convinces me just to go live afterwards. So I figure, what the hell? Here we are. We'll chat. We'll see what's up. I got a few things that I want to show you guys and some things that are coming up that I'll kind of hint towards. So what's been going on, Robbie? You had the big Floyd Rose giveaway last night.
Yep. Going to set it off probably on Wednesday.
Now, that was the one that you had put together last Sunday when we were on my show here, right?
Yep.
Yep. So you got any more parts just laying around in that Floyd Rose box there?
I was going to look in a little bit.
See what you got laying around.
Yeah.
I think I actually have still an original German-made Floyd Rose just box that it came in from way back when I built my replica guitar. I think I may actually have the studs in there still. That's the only spare parts I've got because I ordered separately the wood screws. I wanted to be, accurate with that on my 5150.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's the only leftover parts I have. So if you know anybody that needs some screw inserts, I might have a couple.
If I'm going to paint the body, I'll pull those things out, fill the holes, and drill them. Yeah.
Fill them up. You think that, I guess the tolerance of the insert, I guess you could get some movement. So I would think, even still, I guess the wood screws would be more secure. I guess it's just is it easier and quicker to put the inserts in for companies, or why do you think they changed?
I love this subject. You got me going here.
Hey, take off.
Okay. Yeah. There's play in the machine screw that goes in the insert. Mm-hmm. If you have those, you can put some painter's tape, type tape around them. Let's screw them in. And there's a lot of people that say, well, with poplar or, basswood, the wood's too soft and the screws are going to lean. Mm-hmm. Right. And I gotta say something here. Now, if you have the Floyd in there the way it was designed to be, because the Floyd Rose was designed for 09 strings, right? Mm-hmm. That's what was designed for. The wood screws are designed really for like 11 gauge strings, stuff like that, or like using 5 springs on your claw. Mm-hmm. Okay, I use 2 springs. That's what I've always done.
Yep.
3, you can still do it. It won't really do it. It won't really move the post. Another thing is how high out of the body you've got the stud. Mm-hmm. My stud's usually maybe about 1/8 of an inch. The collar, is up above the wood.
Yep.
Right. I don't go any higher than that. If you go higher on that, it's also compromising the integrity of the hole. But the most important thing, the third thing is people drill the holes too big to put the stud in. Mm-hmm. You gotta drill a hole like a lot smaller, not just a 1/16 inch smaller so it accompanies the thread. On softer woods, because you do a little bit more than that. And then it's hard.
It's going to go in and seat. It'll seat.
It's a wood screw. Make it wood screw in there. Make it fight its way down.
Yeah, make it go.
So it's solid,
We got Donald Young coming in. He's saying, "What's up, Robbie? What's going on, Donald?" We got Baron Guitar coming in. What's going on, dude?
Baron, hey.
So I've always been a firm believer that a Floyd should be decked all the way on the body, no pull up. I don't know where I got that from, but I heard that a famous guitar player used to do that too. But anyway, that would that would, cause the screws to go in as far as they possibly could, because that's as far as you can put the Floyd. So I guess that would get your best grip. Now, which guitar was it? I'm pretty sure, was it the Frankie that he had a Floyd on and it actually pushed forward on the left screw?
That's an interesting story too. So I think it was in '88. He had
We got Mike just coming in as well. What's up, Mike?
what's happening, Mike? Anderson made two necks. He made two necks for Edward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in '88, it was like the first time anybody used wood on a CNC machine. So he laid it out and he punched it out of the CNC. The problem was it was like a quarter inch too long, I think, or short, one or the other. At any rate, when he put that neck on a Frankie, he couldn't intonate it to the point where he couldn't get the.
We got Rob. We got Rob coming in. Say hey to Rob real quick. What's going on, dude?
What's happening, Rob? You couldn't even get the intonation with all three of the threaded holes for the saddles, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he moved the screw holes closer to the route for the pickup, which on that particular body, the Pacer Deluxe that he was using, is too close to the edge. You're only leaving like this much wood between the stud and the edge of the pickup route.
So that actually was the 5150 that happened to?
No, that was a Franken. I believe that was a Franken.
It was the Frankie.
It was a Frankie, but I'm not sure if it was the actual Frankie.
Okay.
Now it's in a museum, and somebody told me you could see where he tried to do that. And it probably should have just seen another neck that was a proper size. There's been debate on if it was a 21 fret neck he had on originally, and then he switched to the 22 fret with Anderson.
Well, they only had about 500 different necks on that thing, so who knows?
Well, this is true, and you'd think that if they were all, the intonation was bad on all of them, it would have showed its ugly head sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But because he moved those Floyd studs closer to the route, they moved. There wasn't enough material to hold it. You got to have probably at least a quarter of an inch before the route.
You think about it, that was the wood screw, and the wood screw takes up a much smaller area. So even if they had tried to put an insert in it, they wouldn't have had enough anyway. So
right, yeah, insert wasn't going to work. Although at that time, Kramer was starting to use those. But I thought that was a pretty interesting story.
Yep, cool.
And that was like the end. That was the end of that particular guitar. He never played it after that.
I was thinking, I was thinking that it was the Frankie, and that was kind of around the time that it was retired. But I'm pretty sure that it obviously has been fixed. So,
but he did have the Ad Frankie Poplar bodies though.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of Poplar, there was some questions about my Fair Warning guitar. You were thinking that maybe it was maple. I looked up all the specs, and there was only, I think it was just that 1 year that Gibson put that out for the 2009 reissue on that Pacer, and the specs do show that it was Poplar. The sucker's heavy, so it's a heavy piece, but it is Poplar.
Wow. I've never had a Poplar body that weighed over 4 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Les Paul heavy, but it's heavier than some of my other guitars. But it's not maple like maybe we were thinking. It is Poplar. So,
oh, that's interesting.
Kramer staying true to form. So we got, let's see, MPN 5150 has a question. Found a pedal version of the Eclipse. It's the Eventide Micro Pitch. Yep. Going to try to get it on my pedal board. Yep. I had the Micro Pitch pedal for a little while, and it was pretty good. It's going to get you a real good proximity to the detune effect. The Eventide has also recently put out an H90 pedal, which is basically the Eclipse in a pedal with a few less features, I believe. It's a little more pricey. I think it's about $900 for that H90. But that micro pitch, I think that's about $250, and that's going to get you pretty close. What are you planning on running it through? Just in the loop of your amp, or how are you going to do that? Let's see. Does Robbie have a reverb shop? Do you have a reverb shop, Robbie?
No, I do not. I do not. No, sir.
Maybe you should start one.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of fees involved. It's kind of a lot of hassle with it.
Yeah.
And I'm not really into selling stuff. Obviously, I'll give stuff away, but
right.
Like for me to sell this on Reverb with all they took out of it, like it's not a $500 Floyd,
Right.
But it's certainly probably about, with the block, that's probably about $275. And then with shipping and reverb, and I might get like $175 when it dust clears. I don't know. It's not really worth it to me.
Yeah, I hear you. We got coming in from the Great White North. We got Trev coming on in. Welcome, Trev. Welcome.
Whoa.
And Trev has absolutely no microphone turned on, or he's muted or something. Yep. See, cursing up a storm, and we can't hear him.
He's mimed.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Must have switched over to Verizon.
We don't get that in Canada.
Yeah, they had those commercials here with I think it was Verizon. The dude, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? So anyway, what's going on, dude?
I'm just kicking back, stuck my belly with some food.
Yeah, man.
With the family.
Waiting on Pete Thorne to go live in a little bit, I guess, eh?
3:20 p.m. Pacific time, he said.
Right. Yeah, I think 6:20 for me. So, what's he's still touring over there, huh?
He's in the UK doing shows and stuff.
You know how many dates he had over there?
It was just under 30, like 27 or 28.
Oh wow!
He's coming back for a week or two, and then he's going to do a second leg kind of
thing. Yeah. He just got started. What, 3-4 weeks ago, something like that.
He left the second week of January, so yeah, he's been a couple and a half weeks anyway.
Cool. I'll have to look and see if he's coming around here. I'd like to go see him play.
For sure.
Yeah, super versatile guitarist.
Indeed.
I guess the modern day studio guitarist is what you could call him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much. He's more of the hired gun, right? People hire him to go out on the roads rather than do the studio gigs. So.
Yeah. So, I guess, he's super talented. I'd like to catch one of his shows.
I've often said I'd pay $50 to have a private Zoom hang with him and watch him play guitar for just an hour without having to worry about copyrights and nonsense. I'd buy that ticket for sure.
Of course, he might say, well, $250 and we'll make it happen.
It better be 2 hours.
2 hours. We got, let's see. I think I've caught everybody that's come in so far. So what else is going on in your neck of the woods there, Mr. Trev?
I was looking around this morning on the webs because I want to get some new tuners for the Viper. I want to get some locking tuners for this thing. But I was putting some time into this last night with the EMGs. So good.
Yeah, they certainly have a specific kind of snarl and growl to them for sure.
It's got the push-pull for the afterburner. That's up to 20 dB boost. So I can just turn all the pedals off right into the front of the Marshall and just slayer my brains out.
Off you go. Are those 85s or what's?
I think it's an 8185.
8185, yeah.
Combo.
Yeah. I think that the Steinberger that I've got has 8181. I know they're the same. Right. And I think it's an 8181 in both positions. Do you know, Robbie, what they put in those?
I don't know.
It's not a Kramer, so you have no clue.
Right.
I don't really do the active pickup thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've got their place. They're good for what they are. And they certainly have a distinct sound to it. Yep. And you got to stay loaded up on batteries. Speaking of batteries, I came down, to play this guitar, and I guess I had left the sustainer switch on. So I played for about a minute and a half, and then all of a sudden it just goes, what? And the battery had drained off of leaving the sustainer on. So I have to remember not to do that and keep extra batteries around.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got Donald Young is saying he bought a new Beretta body for $65, everything but the neck. Gonna hopefully put a Floyd Rose on it. Any suggestions on how to? That would be our man right there. So we'll let Robbie field that question.
Okay. You measure from when you put the neck on the guitar, you're going to measure from the nut to where the string goes into the block on the saddle. Right? Where that string goes into this block. That's where you measure to. You measure it 25 3/4 because that will give you the room to adjust your saddles correctly. I've done it lots of times. Take my word for it. When you get that laid out, you mark, you put a mark where you're going to drill, right? The center punch, exactly the center of the knife's edge, right in the middle, right where that stud's going to be, the middle. And before you do that, you're going to have to file out that route to clear. You're gonna have to clear the coupling. So you gotta have to use a file, sandpaper. I do all this stuff by hand, and just widen it out until that Floyd isn't going to hit. If the Floyd hits at all, it won't stay tuned. And it's not really hard to do. Now, when you're going to drill your hole, start with a very small drill bit. Make sure you have a good center punch. Tape it off, and you won't chip your paint. Tape that off. Start with a small bit. Bring your bit size up, a little bit at a time, and don't make that hole too big. And you're going to have to countersink part of it to fit the shoulder of the stud. And if your tape starts to fray, pull it off, put new tape on there. Make sure it tapes down good. And you should be able to do it without even, putting a scratch in a paint job or anything. But the most important thing is the 25 3/4 measurement from the nut, from where the nut hits the fretboard to the string block where it goes in, and you tighten it where the string goes into the block. That's where you measure it to. That's the most important.
Robbie, what about the left to right measurement? Can he center off of the old trim that's there, or do you have any recommendations for that?
Well, I usually will use a high and low E string, and it doesn't really have to be attached to the tuner. Just clamp down on the locking nut, and take your bar out. Take your bar out because you probably haven't widened that route yet, and center it so your strings are in the right position to be in the center of the neck's in the center of the string path. So the edges of your string are equal coming in from the edge. You want them to be in evenly on the edge, so you don't have to try to move the neck around.
And you could really kind of eyeball that. That doesn't have to be like a precise measurement then.
No, you could see if they're even.
Yeah. I guess the biggest thing is making sure that it's square so that you don't have any awkward, movement on the knife edges.
Yeah, well, the existing screw holes should be a good guide for that, and they're good. They're a pretty good guide for doing the whole thing. And you shouldn't really have any problem. It's really not that hard.
Yeah, he says he bought a template on eBay for the Floyd. So I guess, does that just screw down, Donald, and then you mark it out, or how does that template work?
Double-sided tape, maybe.
Yeah, could be. Ain't no telling. Let's see. Baron Guitar is asking Robbie if you can tell more about the EVH scatter wound humbucker recipe.
Yeah, that's a wind that very secretly, Edward had Seymour wind this pickup with 42 gauge wire, and he staggered the windings on the pickup. Now, most people, when they stagger winding, like for Fender, country, contemporary music, they put more windings on the screw side. But not Edward. Edward wanted the pickup to sound warmer, and he put more windings on the slug side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes it, and we're not talking a whole lot of windings. It's probably like about +5 to +7 on the one side to the other. So it's not a whole lot, but it's enough to make it sound a lot more lively. The slightly out of phase, it all contributed to his sound. That's Seymour Duncan Custom Shop. You got to go to like a store, like I'd use Pitbull Audio. If you go to Pitbull Audio and you tell them Robbie Stingle sent you there, and you ask for Fernando, he's the man. He knows exactly what to do.
You want the Robbie Stingle wind?
They'll order it, and I think they're going for about $180 now. I know that seems like a lot, but I'll tell you, most of the pickups in my guitars are that pickup.
Yeah, cool.
I mean, I just love it.
We got Janice joining in. What's up, Janice? How's it going? We also have, everybody saw him come, but we didn't introduce him, from the Great White North as well, Mr. Rob Blackmore official.
Over on the other side.
Yeah, what's going on, dude? I understand that you have recently acquired maybe a new axe or something like that.
Some show and tell, perhaps?
Maybe.
Yep. Just got her the other day, a day or two ago. I had to do a little bit of buffing and polishing and restringing. And it's this beauty right here.
Very nice. That seems to have the Slash logo on it.
Yep. And it also, the unique quality I like about this, but I'll still use it. I'll use the other one right here. Right in the bridge pickup, it has a built-in tuner in the pickup ring.
Oh,
very nice. Very cool. And you were saying that came with or originally came with a little amp, so it's like a little starter package, I guess.
Yeah, it was just a small amp. I think it was a 15 or 20 watt. I don't know the gentleman that I got this guitar from. This one came from Cosmo Music in Montreal. And I don't know if he had got the full kit with it, or he had just bought the guitar. The gig bag that comes with it, if you see, sometimes you see the demo versions of it on the videos on YouTube. Some people get the gig bag and it has the same Slash logo on the headstock and his signature on the gig bag, and it comes with a small Epiphone amp, strap, 3 guitar picks, the power cords, and trying to think of what else it came with. And it came with something else. I just can't remember right now. But he didn't have the amp. He did ask me if I had an amp. I would have just left the amp because I had watched a few videos on the amp, and it's just not for me. It's not. It's too tinny sounding.
Yeah. So how does it sound through your setup there?
It roars like a lion.
Yeah, you happy with it, huh?
Yeah, I just left it for a day or two to give the strings a full good stretching, and I might plug it in after a while to make sure that they're all tuned up.
Gotcha. We got Mr. Mick coming in, saying hey to everybody. What's going on, Mr. Mick? Welcome in. Making sure we catch everybody here. So what else has been happening? You got some sound clips going ready for us, or live sound samples?
Not as of yet, no. I've been a busy past few days.
Mm-hmm. Did you have to do anything to it? Little tweaks, little setups?
No,
Nope.
Absolutely nothing. All I had to do was just basically change the strings out, give it a little buff and polish up, and I even checked to see if there's any issues with the truss rod, and there's absolutely nothing.
Cool deal. Cool deal.
The guy told me that he bought this when the lockdown happened, just for something to do over COVID, and he told me he never even had it plugged in.
Oh wow! Just sat and played it acoustically, or tinkered around on it, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Congrats, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
I may have some type of unboxing fairly soon, so keep an eye out for that. So some of the other things that I've been doing is I ordered some parts for the trans trim on this guitar.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and try to rebuild it myself. So spring change, the bearing change, lube it up, and maybe see if I can brush these saddles a little bit, get them cleaned up. See if I can match it to feel like my other one. So
Excellent.
may do a video on that, taking this thing apart. I'll have to see how hard it is. I know there's not a lot of information on these things out there, so anything I do, I'll try to share with you guys so you guys can check it out. I had, was it last week that I had set this up for a drop D transposition? Yeah, so I've been trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do with that. Maybe write some different riffs or something and see what I could come up with. Sounded cool. Haven't come up with much yet, but I mean, you just can't get that sound out of anything else. It's so cool. And Trev, I have been working on your requested lick. Let me see if I can muster it up here. Hang on. It's getting there. It's tricky with that stretch, man. I'm just not used to doing that stretch, but it's getting there. There it is.
Excellent.
So I have actually been doing stuff. I'm not just sitting around, doing nothing. So I'm getting a couple of hours of my practice in. Where are you with your, were you trying to do 1,000 hours this year, you said?
Let's see where we're at. Time to update the calendar from yesterday anyway.
What was that the commitment that you had made though?
That was my New Year's resolution, was to try to get in 1,000 hours on the
1,000 hours of practice. So we're going to keep track of where Trev is, and we're going to hold him to it. So let's see.
So as of Thursday, we were 38 and a half, plus 240 and a half, plus 40. So almost 45 hours.
Sweet.
For the month, which is about half of what you need. I mean,
half of what you need.
8 hours a month or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we were teasing you last time. You got to double up on your weekends and put the double time in.
Yeah.
So how's your build going there, Robbie? I know you were working on a couple of guitars. You were doing some test fitting and taking stuff apart and back together.
Yeah, I did a third pre-assembly on it. Got the action down a little bit lower. All I have to do is a final sand on it. And I gotta take a little bit out of that neck shelf, the nut shelf.
Still slamming that nut.
Yeah, I want it lower for sure. But yeah, I've got a little piece I got to sand where I reshape the body where the edge is a little sharp. And then I got to go over it with the 220, the whole body, and do the neck lightly, and it'll be ready to sand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mr. Bell's cleared me on the paint job, so
sweet. Won't be long. Got a comment from Baron Guitar. He says, practice schmactish. Frank Zappa once told me, just shut up and play your guitar and watch the chops start to pile up. I saw a short from Frank Zappa today. I think somebody was interviewing him and asking him about his solo stuff or something. And he's like, I never know what I'm going to play. He says, I don't have anything planned out. I just get up there and then I know how long I have. And then just whatever comes out, comes out. So he flew by the seat of his pants, I guess.
Alamanu.
So Janice is asking, I guess, to Trev, is this a challenge or just a personal goal?
I had to come up with some kind of New Year's resolution, so it seemed like a good idea at the time.
If you're going to have to do a New Year's resolution, you may as well make it guitar related, right?
I mean, I got 1,000 hours in last year on GTA Online. So if I could just take that time that I allotted for GTA and put the guitar in my hands.
Yeah. Well, maybe you could do both. Well, I guess that would be kind of hard with mouse and keyboard and guitar, right? Well, that's what I'm doing right now, though. I got a guitar, mouse, keyboard going. I'm clicking buttons and
yeah.
Let's see. L&M guitar, that's almost 3 hours a day if there's some expected cheat days.
Pretty much.
I think he's already admitted that he's had a few cheat days.
Well, he didn't get off to much of a start. The first 4 days of the year was all
recovering from hangover.
Well, hangouts on hangouts and hangouts.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Recovering in hair of the dog parties.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if I get 500, that's a passing grade. That's 50%. So
yeah,
I'm sure I'll
no doubt. 500.
Try to go for 750. I'll be happy if I get over 500.
Janice says that's a good idea, and sorry to put in the word just. I think we knew what you were talking about, Janice. And congratulations to Janice. She got 800 subscribers last night on Johnny's show. I'm jealous. I'm sure Robbie's jealous up there too. Of course, you've been doing it a while. You've been doing it a lot longer. So cheers to you, Janice. So what else going on? What's going on, you guys in the chat? Anything happening? I guess not. Everybody's quiet.
I had come across a picture the other day on Facebook. It was the Frankenstein body with the Wolfgang neck on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was just somebody messing around. So I had sent the picture to Johnny and I had said, have a look at this. And Johnny had told me in return that Eddie had tried that out during 2012. Is that correct?
I think so. Maybe even earlier than that. You know, as we all know, Eddie was trying all kinds of stuff. So I know that in 2004, was it the reunion tour? He actually broke out the 5150 body with an EVH art guitar neck on it. So, you know, there's no telling what the hell he was doing all the time. And I'm pretty sure that I remember seeing the Frankie with the wolf neck on it. I don't remember when it was from, but yeah, I'm sure he did all kinds of shit that we never saw.
Somebody had it titled the Wolfenstein.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great game.
You know what his philosophy? You know, his philosophy was always, if it sounds good, it is good. So if it worked for him, then why not? And, you know, I saw an interview with Wolfgang, and he was talking about how, you know, his dad, even with the Frankenstrat, if he was messing around with it or something and he was done with it, you know, this was just a year or so before he passed away. He said if he was doing something with it and he finished, he would just take and throw it across over on the couch that was over there. He had no regard for it, you know, like all of us do. And even Wolfgang, he was like, don't do that. That's like the most important guitar in rock history. And his dad is like, me. So it's just a tool to him, all his stuff. So no telling what he tried.
It's all a bunch of Legos.
Yep. Yep. You know, and it's, I don't know. Whoa, I don't know what that was for. Baron Guitar says, I say EVH with Sammy, and I want to say 2004 Rose Hill Drive open for them. Oh, you saw EVH with Sammy. Very cool. Oh, yeah, there he corrected that. But yeah, I think that was it soon after the... Yeah, I don't think it was but a few years before that Eddie passed that I saw that little interview with Wolfgang. There was also a spot where he was actually playing it, and he was playing the eruption tapping part, and I think it was part of that same little interview there. Yeah, he's like his dad had no regard for the safety of the instrument. He just threw it across the room. Where all of us would be like diving to catch it, you know. No.
The precious.
Yeah, for sure. So how many guitars you working on there, Robbie? You just got the one, or I think you mentioned there was a second one the other day.
Nah, just this one.
Or maybe it was a second one that you had already completed before or something like that.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah.
The one I finished before this was the Black Vanguard with that still new in the box 83 Gold Floyd. Now that I paid $500 for.
Mm.
It was an original box, plastic, rubber bands, the whole 9 yards, 2 different couplings.
For the Floyd itself, not the whole guitar.
No, just the Floyd.
Just the Floyd, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy one of those Floyd guitars. I mean, the Floyd Rose model, I just don't dig the shape on them. There was one up for sale, like $500. It was a fire sale body, 2-piece maple glued down the middle, never finished, never drilled, just the way I like them.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't get into that shape. That's like the Voyager guitars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could do the Condor and I could do the Vanguard, but that's kind of as far as it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I'm going to do a guitar, you gotta absolutely love it. You know, it gets all the most rare, best parts, and then it takes me 5 years to build. It does.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were at Kramer, were there ever any other woods that were used other than the? I've heard you say that some have come out maple. You have one that's a flame maple that I absolutely love. But were there any other production guitars that had any other wood used other than poplar at that time?
Oh, sure. The most prevalent was alder.
Okay.
Now, like all the Grail guitars were maple come out of sports, you know, like the Grail body I got. And the other ones, they were still doing some poplar, you know. But after Edward got into the company there, he didn't like those bodies going out the door either.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, you can't really tell what the wood is. You can't to an extent, because an alder body would be 4.2 pounds. The poplar body is like 3.8.
Mm-hmm.
I had to know this so I could buy these things off of the internet. You know, have them weigh the body, do the test to see how soft the wood is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you'd be surprised how people think, oh, they only made them out of alder or this or that. But yeah, alder was the main wood. You know, and then poplar was the one that was people would want. But Edward didn't like that,
Gotcha.
because that's what he played.
Gotcha. I was talking to some friends, and once again, the body wood of the 5150 came up, and there was some that had said that from Chip Ellis himself, because evidently they're working on a relic 5150 like they did with the Frankie, and they're saying that they heard it from Chip Ellis himself that the original is ash. And then you have some people that claim, no, it's basswood, and, others that claim. So it's never going to be, unless you have that guitar in your hand and you're a wood expert, nobody's ever going to know. But you still say that poplar is what the 5150 was made of.
I held the thing in my hand. I kicked it around on the floor. It was there when the 5 of them came out. In 84, they were poplar, 1982 Pacer special bodies with the 2 1/4 inch neck pocket, because that's all he would use. Now there were no basswoods. Kramer didn't use basswood, at least while I was there, until 86 and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I brought up that point. And the argument was, well, it's Eddie Van Halen. They're going to do whatever he wants. So people continue to want to argue it.
Well, it's like I got a question from L&M today about why would I backbow the neck before I sand it out? Because he make sure everything's completely level. And I said, because, Edward wanted the relief to be in the frets. So the neck would be straight, but the relief's in the frets. And you could get the action down just a little bit lower.
Yep.
And that's what, after he told me to do that, I've done it ever since.
Yep.
And now with my arthritis, the action has to be ridiculously low for me to play.
Yeah.
I won't have any speed or anything.
Yeah. And while that's not conventional, I guess that worked for him. And I don't know as far as fret wear, how viable that would be for someone else, because, they may not be able to afford to replace the frets every time they wear out. So obviously he was probably getting refrets, once a month, once every couple months, especially if he was playing, on a tour or something, I would guess.
Well, I'd heard that he'd have like 3 necks with him. And he changed them like every couple of weeks, so they were ready to go. So he could switch them. It must have been tough for like whoever's guitar tech was, whichever tour, because he's like trying to do all the work himself, and the tech's like, but it's got to be level, it's got to be straight. He's like, do it this way. It's just the way it was. Personally, it works for me. It works great. And when I was dressing necks at the factory, I had a hell of a time getting guitar necks out the door. I'd always get a buzz or a squawk or a slap, like a Fender slappy sound. And I'd have to dress it again and again. Once I did that with the backbow, I didn't ever had to do a redress ever again.
So that was actually something that you continued to do for the production guitars that went out, was backbow level.
Oh yeah, we shifted right then, all 3 of us in the neck room. And that's what we did it ever since. And, this is going to sound crazy, but it's like the more you backbow it, the better it plays.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
So
I think it doesn't make any sense, but I crank them pretty good.
So
Sure.
there's probably a bunch of people out there with the vintage Kramers, and they're like, I put a little relief in my neck. Why are these middle frets so low? Now we know.
Well, we're not talking like it's going to be a whole lot, like super noticeable.
Yeah.
I mean, you can notice it, but but like I said, it's just like I could tell people, yeah, it was poplar. Yeah, the first two Kramer made for Eddie in '82 with the Destroyer neck. I knew the head of the guitars, Bill Isaacson. He's the one that built that body for me that you like. And I had a couple friends that worked there too, so I knew everything that was going on. And those are poplar too. I'll tell you what. When Ed got to the factory and he got a hold of Poplar and he plugged it in, that was it. He loved it ever since.
That's what he wanted. Interesting.
With the all tube amplifier,
Right.
with the whole kind of thing. That's what I. Yeah.
With the whole combination he was using. Got a question here from Baron Guitar. Did EVH use Korean Floyd's later? That's what EVH guitars will tell you, and that is what the most recent USA Wolfgang signature came with, is the Korean 1000. They claim that Ed said that it had a better tone to it. Whether all that's marketing or not, that is what is on the most recent guitars, so take that with a grain of salt. I doubt very seriously that he played that. I bet you he had upgrades done to his, but that's just my humble opinion, so take that as you will. The tricks of the trade. Let's see. L&M Guitar Corner says, would he tell you how much back bow to put in?
Yeah. Basically. No. It was like back bow the hell out of it. And then sand the hell out of it.
As much as you could get it, huh?
Very specific. Well, you didn't get it like super, but you got a good amount. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't really specific.
So we're talking, once you set it back straight, are we talking a 1/32 difference?
No, it's probably not as much.
Not that much.
Not that much, no.
So we're just talking hair.
Giver gauge territory.
Yeah. So
Just
it's not as extreme as it sounds when you describe it, to back bow it and sand it and then put it straight. So just a very, very small amount.
Yeah, well, when you're doing it, it's like you're cranking the fuck out of it, but excuse my language, cranking a 80, but when you put relief on the guitar neck, L&M knows this. When you put relief on the guitar neck, the ends, the frets on the ends are going to go up. When you curve the neck, it's higher on each end.
Mm-hmm.
Up go the strings.
Yeah.
That's
that's the whole purpose of getting a little bit of a buzz out of it, is to put some relief in and get the strings to come up a little bit, I guess. Yeah.
I don't want my strings to come up at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would prefer to have a straight neck as well, and
I never have to adjust them. Like, people are always like, "Well, I got to adjust the truss rod." And it's just, I've had guitars for years. I've never adjusted the truss rod.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm using necks that are like from 79 to 85.
Good quality stuff. I guess if you had a severe enough temperature or climate change, if you lived in somewhere and then you moved somewhere else, you might have to do a truss rod adjustment. But for the most part too, yeah, my guitars here, they stay in the conditioned basement. Even when I was going out and playing out, I never really had issue with having to adjust one. So yeah, I've had the same experience.
A lot of the newer guitars, the wood isn't quite as good as it used to be back then.
Mm-hmm.
And
some of the newer stuff too is getting the carbon strengtheners, beside the truss rod, to stiffen up the neck. Certainly the Wolfgangs have it, and I know other guitars are starting to do that as well.
But for me, if I had to adjust the truss rod, I would just redress the whole neck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for me, I mean, out here in the woods, tone shack, kind of more exposed to the elements, and being in Vancouver, seasonal changes, humidity, temperature and stuff. I have to budge mine a couple times a year.
Yeah.
Usually like a springtime and a fall, maybe later in the fall, kind of almost winter time. I'll have to give them a little budge. Like right now, it's 55 in here.
Yep. Well, if anybody has, if anybody has wood finishings in their home, and through the winter with your heat on and all that, and it's drying out that wood, sometimes you notice some cracking in your molding or something. So same thing. I mean, the neck of a guitar will shift if it dries out. So if you have any of those changes, certainly there may be something that you have to adjust with it.
Also, I don't know, they still sell them in the music shops or not. It's like You know how you go to the roadside store if you're a smoker or a tobacco chewer? It's like a little snuff can.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably, the can is probably about this round, maybe so big, and it's so deep, and it's got perforations in the top of the hole of it, and it's got like a sponge, or almost like the Jim Dunlop polish rags that you get.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing is the thicker material, like sponge. You just take that out, and you under the cold water or medium to cold water, and you run it under that, and you just squeeze it out, put it back in the can. If you're the kind of guy or gal that doesn't hang the guitar on a hook, like a hook on the wall, or have it out on display, you're used to putting it in a gig bag or a case, especially a hard shell case. If they usually have it in music stores, you go get that little can. It's a little black can. The perforations in the top, and it got a little sponge inside. You just dampen it, and you just wring it out, put it back in the can, put that can in your case, and especially if it's stored in a dry to warm area, and it's supposed to leave the moisture in your case, and it's supposed to keep the moisture so the wood won't warp or twist.
Yeah, I guess that would depend on how well your case is sealed.
Yeah, the case I have is it's a base case, and it was for the Explorer that I had. That was the only case that would fit it. It's under the bed, and I don't have anything in it as of right now. But I mean, like, it's lined. It has the compartment inside to throw in a pedal or some picks or whatever you want to throw into it, and I haven't had to use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that I've seen at the guitar stores they'll sell some kind of little thing that you're supposed to throw in. I don't know, I don't know how well that would work. I've never used them. So Robbie, MPN is looking for somehow to get you some pictures of a neck body stamp. I guess probably on Johnny's Discord. Just put them in the Kramer hashtag.
Yeah, you could probably put them in the Discord or Guitar Build in there. Or you got my number. You could just text me the pictures through the phone. That'd be easier.
There we go.
And then I can communicate with you on what it says and who did what.
Mike Olson says do a redress and refresh. The refresh isn't as important over here. I don't really care about that. I would like everybody to, subscribe. But, yeah, the refresh is not that important with just a few people watching here. Good enough for EVH is good enough for me, says Baron Guitar.
Also, did you guys ever come across YouTube when you're going through YouTube? These here videos, the guys that are claiming they had or have a guitar belong to Eddie?
Oh, you see that all the time, yeah.
I seen a video the other day. There was this gentleman sitting down, and he had shown a picture of three people. They showed a picture of John McEnroe, Eddie, and this other tennis player.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, Venus Carolinas.
That's the name, Robbie. And this guy in the video was claiming he got the guitar from that tennis player. He had guitars and whatnot from hanging around with different celebrities. And he claims that this tennis player had given him this guitar, and it was belonged to Eddie. Now, what I have, I don't know if it's true or not, because the body of the guitar looks like Frankenstein, except the neck pickup is not the dark red. It's white, completely snow white. And the volume knob, or pardon me, the tone knob, it's not like, like the volume pot, the volume and the tone on say my Les Paul here. It's the black. It's white. It's a white one with the black lettering on it, and it has the small pick guard on it, like the Frankenstein would. And he said that this tennis player gave it to him with that body, and the neck is a Kramer neck, but the headstock, it's not the banana, it's not the sport. It's, you know, when you see the Kramer neck and it's like this,
it's a beak neck,
and it's like the Kramer logo is supposed to go straight this way. The Kramer logo is going this way. It says Kramer going this way on it, and it's just like it's not the banana. It's a little bit more tilted. It's not the sport or the banana. It's almost like a, if you could, it's not like that. It's more up like this, more than the sport. The tip of it's more up a little bit. And Kramer's wrote this way instead of this way.
What do you know about that, Robbie?
Yeah, that guy's legit. You know, they made a lot of guitars for Eddie for giveaways. So there wasn't a whole lot of like, we'll say, discipline in making those guitars. You know, Edward would play it and, you know, give it away. This happened a lot. But you can't really base any of those. You can't really compare any of those to the run of 5 or the run of 2, the 5150, or even the 5, you know, Ad Frankie guitars we did for him. You know, but that guy's legit. Venus had a 5150 also that Ed played in concert, you know, for a while now. Of course, it's one of these promotional 5150s, but that ended up banana headstock on it, and that also had the extra 2 screws. Just got the 6 screws on the neck plate, and he did play it for, I don't know, a couple of months or something.
Yeah,
yes, that's what he showed, because the guy had flipped it over, and he was also mentioned in the video because it showed a picture of Eddie back then jumping off the drum riser, and he was mentioning about the neck shifting, and then he flipped the guitar over. Instead of 4, it had the extra 2 in the center. And like, I didn't know if the video was legit or not, right? Because I seen another young guy on there on another video, and he was just sitting on the couch, and the neck was all dirtied up, and he's like, "Man, this is Eddie's guitar," and this is all he was saying, right? He wasn't being factual. And some of the stuff he was saying, there was like tidbits of information. It's like he searched it up, wrote it down, and rehearsed it, and messed up the script that he made for himself, because the information was it wasn't matching up. It was skewed.
Yeah. I think there's probably a lot of guitars that may have been made for Ed as backups, and he may have had them in somewhere, you know, in a case, and he may not have ever played them. And then, you know, he's like, has somebody that he wants to give a guitar to, and he's like, "Here you go. Here's a guitar." So technically, yes, that was Ed's guitar, but was it ever used or stage used? Who knows? But I think going back to your tennis player story, that Ed had a guitar made for what's his name? The Brat, John McEnroe, back in the day. So he presented him the guitar, and he's like, "Man, this thing is beautiful. Too bad I can't play it." He says, "What do you mean?" He says, "I'm left-handed." So did you ever hear that story, Robbie?
No, I didn't. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. But that's kind of like, you know, when you tell people there are 5 5150s, it's like, well, there's the one with the 1 star, there's one with the 2 stars. That Eddie always had, I should call him, he liked to be referred to as Edward, but he always had, you know, 5 backups of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever guitar he's playing, he had like five more ready to go. So
yeah, certainly had backups. Mr. Mick says, "I just opened a new pack of EB Cobalt strings, and there's brown spots on them. Should I not put them on?" Yeah. I wouldn't. I'd take them back, send them back where you got them.
I just get regular super slinkies, man. That's all I use.
Baron Guitar says, "Canada makes guitars move like crazy." Yeah, the extreme temperatures back and forth.
But that's a good thing, because of the cold in Canada. Lucido's necks in '85, they're bulletproof. You know,
they'd already gone through the gauntlet of extreme conditions, I guess.
Right? Yeah. You know, that's what. You know, that's why they were so good back then. But
yeah,
quality of wood and everything nowadays, and plus construction of the neck. If
Yeah.
it's one-piece quarter swan like the Grail necks, I don't think you could get any better than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or even the necks that Paul Unker glued up. They were ESP maple fretboard. Well, no glue on fretboard. The fretboard is the maple, so they have to have the truss rod. You know, to put the truss on it, they have to have a skunk stripe.
Mm-hmm.
But he just cut the ends off and added wood to make it into the banana. You know, but they were basically ESP necks too. Back then, I mean, I'm telling you, from 1979 to 1985, ESP necks were ruling the world. And that's why that's pretty much the only ESPs I'll use. And for a long time, I thought the Lucido necks out of Canada was the best ones because I had that one I saved from the dumpster that I got on the 85 Beretta. And I'd gotten a couple more. There's the artist neck that I got for the Condor. And, you know, I really like the Lucidos. There's a Lucido neck on that Isaacson guitar, you know. And but if they're, you know, if you go into like the land of three-piece, when Kramer started making three-piece necks because they only had to use like, you know, 1.5 inch strips of wood to glue together to make the neck. It cost a lot less money. They said it was for strength, and the grain is opposite. Oh, that's a bunch of horse hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it's a, you know, one-piece quarter swan, yeah, that pretty much doesn't really move too much.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I definitely, because that's the only necks I have, right? That's the only ones I'll buy.
Yep. We had L&M Guitar Corner says that Diodario, going back to the moisture and hydration, says has a great hydration pack that he's used for years now. That's probably what I've seen in the guitar stores before. I know that they sold something. Yep.
That sounds about right.
Six Fingered says, I always keep my guitars in the case unless playing. A hygrometer will let you know the difference between the moisture content and temperature inside the case. Yep.
Hey, that's what I do. All my guitars are in the case. Well, this one I'm building is in a stand, but, you know, I'm taking it apart, put it together like every couple of days. But, yeah, absolutely. And it saves on strings going bad, too. Now, granted, if you got a couple years, if it's been a couple years, even if you don't play it, those strings are probably going to be dead, just sitting there like that. Yeah. But yeah, in the case, that's what I do. Yeah,
I keep all mine. I keep all mine out. They're all hanging on stands, and I've got one that's in a case, and it's a Fender Strat, and it's just because I don't ever play it. So no, I just keep my area conditioned, and I keep it. You know, I have a humidifier on my house system, so I keep about year round at least, you know, 40 to 45% humidity, and you know, all my stuff.
These are the stands I use.
Yep, I just hang. I use a Hercules stand, and I just hang them all off of the neck.
I used to use the other ones that come up, and it had the little cup holder where you just lay the neck in.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to thinking, even if the guitar is sitting there for a little while, it may, you know, like the same thing, like the temperature in the room, it may shift a little. And I got to thinking, well, when you're leaning your guitar up against something, it might be, you know, chances of it coming away from the body. So I got smart about it, and I said, no, I'm going to get rid of those and go with these ones. I got 2 of them. I purchased them through Amazon, and forks are just big enough to fit from like the smallest guitar, and the width of the body goes out for even an acoustic guitar, and simple fold up.
Good work on an Explorer, though.
Yeah, I'd be worried
because I've got the Explorer shaped object, but the strangely shaped body.
Yeah, I would be worried that I would be bumping into them and knocking them off and onto the floor with that type. So,
see, that's the only that's the only bonus with those other stands where it comes up and I got the little cup holder. The forks kind of swivel, right? So like Trevor got the same there. He's got the Explorer body. I got the same thing with the Explorer here, and I used to have it in the stand. The part that comes up underneath your arm, I had to put that down first between the forks, and it kind of shift a little bit, and it would just sit there on like a lean. I know that's what I was worried about it too. You just breeze by it, and just my luck, it'll go blam on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Janice says, 6, there is an off-grid channel that I used to watch. He talked about the moisture in a log to know if it was good to be used in a fire. Yeah, moisture for firewood is a bad thing. So, and even for wood that they build guitars with, they typically will take those to down around 6% moisture content, I believe. So,
Stick a fork in it, see if it's done.
Right. So yeah, I got to get the moisture out of them, dry it out. Kiln dried kind of stuff.
For anything made out of wood, you making jewelry boxes or chairs or tables or anything, you want that stuff to be stabilized.
Yeah. Or your house, pressure treated wood and whatnot.
Now
moisture counts. Yes, Janice.
If I heard correctly, I don't know if any of you guys see that new guitar that Philip McKnight made.
I think we've all seen it.
Yeah. We're familiar with that one.
I think Zims did a video on it, and he was described as a description video. The neck on that is made out of Canadian maple, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's 3 pieces, though, right? Quarter sawn down the center and quarter sawn opposed on the edges.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not fussy for it.
Say again?
I'm not fussy for that guitar.
Oh, yeah. Other people may like it. I'm not. I'm just not going to say anything. It didn't tickle my fancy. I can probably tell what Robbie might think.
You can probably already figure out what my opinion is.
Mm-hmm.
If I make an 80s guitar, it's out of 80s parts.
Mm.
Anymore, it's got to be one of the rare pin routed, hand bandsawed, bodies coming out of the Kramer factory in 1982.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I'm sure it's a fine playing guitar. I'm sure that it feels good. It just didn't do anything for me. So, that's all that there is there. Let's see. MPN 5150 says, when you say 5 5150s, were they all the same build but painted differently, like the 1984?
No, they're all painted exactly the same, or as close as Edward could get them. Working with the guys in the paint booth.
So the 1984, he says, has 2 stars on it. And it has a different neck headstock shape, doesn't it? Yeah. Isn't the 84 a pointy neck, or am I mistaken?
No, it would have been a pointy then. This base plate has a little bit of pitting on by the name.
Uh-oh. Does that mean you might have to just slap something together?
Well, it depends what I have laying around. Now, I got this one, and the name's really nice. It's got the 42 block on it already. It's got a good coupling on it. So, even though it's an 85 block, because it has the serial number on it.
Mm-hmm. This
is probably something I'd keep. Not that I'm building a guitar or anything, but yeah, look at how fresh these fine tuners are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is in really good shape.
I'd be keeping all that stuff, Robbie.
This has the thinner base plate.
Now,
thinner base plate means you can get it lower down.
That reminds me, I think I've asked you before, but maybe some other people here don't know. You hear the term Floyd Rose early whale tail. What is the difference?
I hear that a lot too.
What's the difference in a whale tail and a just regular Floyd?
Whale tail is this bend or casting.
Okay.
Any Floyd Rose that has a fine tuner like this that's angled back is a whale tail. Now, maybe some people are trying to make it into something like it's rarer, but that's like an overall term. If you get into rarity of different Floyds, you have to be more specific than that.
So somebody says I have an early 1982 Whale Tail Floyd. That means absolutely nothing.
Right. It's just like, it's an FRT 5. Now, early 82, that'd be special. Because as far as I know, it wasn't until springtime, summer. That's when I got mine.
Gotcha.
The first, that got sent to the factory to, kind of like to see which ones who they wanted to go with the contract.
Gotcha. Six Fingered says he's got a Canadian maple one-piece neck he's using for a bumblebee build. Fender style, 9-inch radius. It's absolutely beautiful. And then he says 10-inch, not 9. Well,
yeah,
cool,
10
man.
inch. It does sound pretty good.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out once you get that going. Janice is out of here. She's got to go work on a song. Oh, she's going to be right back, though. Very good. Baron Guitar says it's very cool, Floyd. And that damn Robbie knows his shiz.
Well, it's the right place at the right time. And it helps to be like, born with a Floyd up your freaking nose.
Right.
The people are like, well, I don't like Floyd, or you're too much work, or that's too much of a hassle. Like, for me, it's just SOP. I've been taking it apart, putting it together forever, and setting them up and all that.
Well, a lot of it is just not having the knowledge about it, because when I first had some early like Jackson guitars and they were floating, man, I hated changing strings on those because I didn't know how to do it. But once I learned how to do it, it was like, oh man, these are simple. Block it, tighten the springs, tune it up, take your block out, adjust your springs back till it comes into tune, and you're good to go. It's as easy as that. And I'm going to be learning a whole lot about a trans trim when I take this thing apart. Yep. Yeah. I have never taken one apart, and I figured that I better learn. So I bought the new spring for it, bought the new bearings, and I got some more double ball end strings. I ordered those today, so they should be here soon. So that will be coming up as a project soon.
I've got a 42 millimeter block which has the serial number on it. Might be able to part with that. I mean, I also have one without a serial number, and I'm not going to part with this one.
So why is that? Is that more rare with no serial number?
Yeah. That's what they call the patent pending. It would have had a little sticker on it that said, made in Germany on it. They got a whole bunch of this crap. This is this little tiny block with this for like the trem center.
Oh yeah.
But I got freaking 1, 2, 3. I got 3 of those. This stuff's ready for the pond. Yeah, you get that in a guitar, you immediately remove it. All that stuff. Get rid of that garbage.
Yeah, I would think that would be a spot for a potential rattle or something like that.
Oh, I just hate it. And there's a 37, the 37 block. This is used for your, routered face.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's garbage. I've got a left-handed Floyd Rose bar.
Anybody left-handed in the chat?
I was thinking of putting it in place and bending it to righty.
Yeah. Or you could just chop off where it bends and call it a David Gilmour style.
Stubby.
Yeah. I noticed that I was watching some videos where I was curious what guitar and what songs he used for his trans trim songs that he had. So I was looking up some videos, and he actually did that with the trans trim bar, is he cut it really short. He just doesn't like having a bar stick out. So he did that on most of his guitars, I guess.
Well, let's see. We got some parts going together here. Where's my Allen key?
We got a question in chat real quick. User not available. It says thoughts on 8 or 10 string guitars. My personal thoughts, I don't know how I would play it. I don't ever think that I would want to try to play it. I haven't even learned how to play a six-string guitar yet, so I'm not brave enough to even think of that I would even want to try one. What about you guys?
No,
Pretty much the same.
Yeah. 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 You know, I think a lot of I think a lot of newer players, as they come in and this is what they know, and they develop their own style, you know, with that type of thing. I think it's really cool. Some of the stuff that I see some of these guys do on these multi-string guitars is awesome. Do I think I could do it or ever do it? Nope. So I'm just 8 or 10 string guitar just would not interest me at all.
that person wants to ask ZZ Top's bass guitar player that question.
Yeah, I saw that. That was just ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yeah, his neck was like this wide.
Yeah. L&M says, I'm just too stupid to work with a wiggle stick. Janice is doing a song like Johnny Cash, Hard to Follow. Grateful Dead, Sugaree. There's an 8-string Dean ML Dimebag looking. Did Dean play? I mean, did Dime play multi, like over 6 strings?
I think Dime only played maybe, if he tried, maybe 7 string.
Maybe 7? Yeah, I don't know. I appreciated his music, but I wasn't a huge Dime fan. 6 finger, well, you've got 6 fingers. So he says he plays around with a 7-string for a while. But yeah, that should be easier with your 6 fingers there.
Well, I heard
fun, but not for me. Yeah.
I heard a Pantera song today in the car. Of course, I was making a short, another short too. But I loved the music. I loved his riffing. I loved his lead. I just didn't like the whole growling singing thing.
Too angry.
The Cookie Monster singing.
You know, I mean, it's one of the more famous songs, but it just made me feel agitated. Like, you know, Van Halen, they could get heavy, they could rock, but they didn't make me feel tense. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I kind of had to like turn it off. I know you hardcore people, metal people, are gonna hate that, but when you get old like me, and you know, I got to be cool, man. I gotta keep my mood good. I don't want to feel aggravated. It was bringing some aggravation out into me.
What do you think about the robot singing?
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Domo.
That was like the death of that band, wasn't it?
that certainly was not their highest point, I don't think. A lot of people like that song though.
Well, what the hell is happening here, man?
Looks like he's putting another one together. We're gonna have to get. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a show every Sunday and have Robbie put a Floyd together.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we got to see what kind of saddles we got here, you know.
What's going on, Snow Lancer? Welcome to the
Hey,
channel.
what's happening, Snow, man?
Snow Lancer, the winner of last night's Floyd Rose. I'm sure he's looking forward to getting that.
As soon as the weather breaks here, I'll send it out to you, Snow.
What are you going to plan to use it on, Mr. Snow Lancer?
Good question. Does it have a home?
Yeah, you got something ready for it to go?
I think he's going to be replacing something like, you know, Fender EVH bridge, you know?
Yep. That's what I would have done with it.
A dilemma. Do tell.
Let us know. We are thirsting for your story. Now, case anybody doesn't know, I took this trans trim and I dropped it to where it would stay in tune for a drop tuning. So I can do drop D. Drop it down further to drop that C sharp or drop C. Just too cool. Too cool.
Yeah.
So Snowlancer says that he might do a shadow box. Might be a good idea at Baron Guitar. Here it is. Put it in a shadow box and hang it above the mantle. Are we talking about the Floyd Rose? No, that needs to go on a guitar that's going to be played. It's like an 80s original, man. Oh, and until the time comes to bust it out and put it on an old Kramer body. Okay. That sounds a little better.
All right.
The plot thickens.
Yeah. Transposing to drop tuning. Yeah, I still need to do a little bit of tweaking. And I think that the rebuild on the trans trim might be what I need. The bearings, it's probably an 80s, never been rebuilt. So trying to get that dialed in a little bit. Snowlancer said that if he won it, he would donate it to Amanda Peters several times in the chat. And if I don't pay it forward, I will feel rotten inside. So there may be some other plans for it. Yeah. So we shall see what happens with that.
Well,
that's what I say.
I'd hope you put it on something and use it.
Well, Robbie, rest assured that if I win one, it's going on a guitar.
Let's see. 1 dot.
He's still digging for parts.
2 dots. One dot. We don't need that one.
I definitely got to come up with some kind of cool riff with that changing around. That's just too awesome.
Tap into your inner Jerry Cantrell.
Yeah, I gotta figure something out. What would Jerry do? Or he could make drop tune songs just even, more drop. Could you imagine that song and that far drop tuning?
Actually sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, I think it does sound pretty good. Let's see, we got some other comments coming out here. Mike Olson says Robbie can make an 80s Floyd out of thin air.
Put the deals together.
I think he
Make
has
it a
some.
shim for Penny Radius.
Yeah, I think he has a little help from his parts bin from the 80s. So, Baron Guitar says, yeah, if I win a Floyd Rose, I'm going to install it to my bones and make a bio guitar. Okay.
Be a fun video.
Yeah, it should be. It might be a little bloody, but yeah, we'll see. The rig is amazing as usual. Oh, thank you, dude. Thank you. Let's see. Now I know who at Rob Blackmore Official is. Hi there, Rob. Snowlancer's giving you a shout out.
Hey, Snow.
Saying hey to Trev.
Snow. Let it snow, let it snow.
How tough does them bones sound with detune? Yeah, that sounded pretty cool going down even further. What's up, Dwight Bailey? Welcome in. What's going on, man?
Dwight the Hitman Bailey. Hey, man, I'm going to shout out Dwight here, man.
Yeah, man.
Every time I put a video out, he is on it in like 30 seconds, man. He's right there all the time. It's terrific, Dwight. You rock, man. The parts. You really rock, Dwight Bailey, dude. You're cool, man.
Baron Guitar is saying, has anyone made a guitar out of an elephant or whalebone? I was watching a clip on YouTube about the Fender Custom Shop, and they had, I think it was a piece of wood that they had found that was, they said, several thousands of years old. And it actually was so old that it was starting to petrify and turn into stone in some of the grain. So they used that piece of wood, and they were making a custom guitar. And for the nut, they were cutting a piece of old prehistoric bone that had been found near where the wood was as well. So that's the only time I've ever heard of anything like that.
There's this thing made with a real human rib cage.
Oh wow, that's kind of creepy.
It puts its oil on the skin, on its skin.
Mm.
It takes its calcium, makes its bones strong. Good guitar.
Yeah, that would
Or
be
it
very.
gets the hose again.
That would be very creepy if that was actually somebody's actual rib cage. Is that
It's
what
his
that?
dead uncle. It's really a thing.
What? No way. His dead uncle.
Here's a better picture of just the guitar. Bam.
Let me hang on. Let me. So we got rib cage, we got spine, we've got pelvis.
Right?
What's happened? What has happened to this show, Ryan?
I guess there's no playing up above the 12th fret. There you go.
Unless you're really reaching into it.
Long finger.
You are not coming into my house with that thing.
That, yeah, that's just, I don't know even what to say about that. That's entirely creepy.
Or
No, thank you. No, thank you. Let's see. S. McMillan, welcome in. Great show. Thanks for visiting.
Hey, S, man, you're cool, dude.
Let's see. Six Finger said apparently that skeleton was the dude's uncle. So you've heard that story as well, Six.
Yeah.
Baron Guitar says the cadaver caster.
Perfect.
That's just what some people do. That reminds me of, there was an article that I had seen. I think it was on the internet. Dude wanted to be preserved, and he wanted to stay in his house. So they put him into a glass coffee table, So dude is laying right there in the coffee table in the house.
Like mummified?
Yeah. Well, preserved and whatnot. So that's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Saw another one where the dude loved his motorcycle, so he wanted to be preserved on the motorcycle. And as he was going to the to the funeral plot, he was on a flatbed and in a riding position on this motorcycle that was encased in his casket, which was see-through. And so they just buried the whole thing with him on top of his motorcycle. So that's kind of another creepy thing that I've seen. But the cadaver guitar is definitely the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
The more you know.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Trev has the photo on hand, so you had it ready to go.
I Googled it.
Snow says that he's digging your workshop that you've got there, Trev.
Thanks, man.
Let's see. Hey, R2R3. Welcome in, dude. You're late as usual.
Ooh.
What's up, R2?
Thanks for coming in, dude.
Hey,
Let's
R2.
see. Everybody just saying hey to everybody. So we are watching Robbie put together another Floyd Rose bridge. Not sure what he's going to do with it yet, but he is busy and actively working and screwing
like
stuff in.
Maker.
Yeah.
I don't really like one of these little screws that holds the saddle. And I don't have another one of them. So I don't know.
Parts are getting slim, huh?
Yeah, definitely clearing this stuff out. No doubt about it.
You know that little magnifier thing that you wear that just makes you look like a fine craftsman, no matter what you're doing.
Yep.
Is that one of those fake it till you make it things? Just put the gear on and you look official.
No, I got this when I was building models.
Yeah.
And it just came in handy, if you're looking at the phone, stuff's on the phone is small.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're working on some. I used it for models, fine detailed work on models. And
Janice is asking you, are those screws proprietary?
What do you mean, like necessary?
No, like can you buy them somewhere else, or do they have to be, or do they have to be made?
You can buy them. People buy like upgrades for them and stuff. I mean, it's still tie-ins, but it could be better.
So I think she's just saying, can you go to the hardware store and find
like Fastenal
screw? Yeah.
You probably could.
Yeah. So there's nothing real special about them. Now, Baron Guitar has a really good idea here. Video games should have options to craft Floyd Roses and such. I've seen these video games. I've seen these video games that are like, what are they? Computer, where you design and build a computer, and then you've got all this other stuff that you design and build. So yeah, man, Guitar Builder.
It's all the different simulators. Farmer simulator.
Yeah, guitar building simulator. That would be awesome. You need to rush out and get a patent or something on that, Baron.
For those people out there that have the Oculus Quest virtual reality, that would be something.
Mm-hmm. Where you could actually pretend like you're playing it when you're done.
Next level Guitar Hero, right there.
R2, R3 says FU Tone would be the best place for Janice if she's looking for those screws, I guess. Yeah, no, they've got a lot of replacement stuff. I was actually looking at maybe getting one of the purple EVH tunas for my Purple Days 5150 series. And then I start scrolling through and I'm like, ooh, these titanium blocks look good. And ooh, this, this sustain block here, that looks good. So they got a lot of good stuff there for sure. I know Robbie doesn't like any of that crap, but I think a lot of it looks cool. Need Robbie's expertise for that guitar crafting game. Well, if somebody designs it, we'll put Robbie on it and have him test it.
Dr. Kramer, hard at work.
Yep, no doubt. So, Trev, I was wondering the other day, you were over at your buddy John's.
Yep.
Is he quite a ways from you, or is it just a quick trip?
It's a half hour on a Saturday morning.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Not bad. So if you wanted to, you got, somewhere you can go jam.
Tend to only go over when the wife and kids are out of town.
Mm. That does make a difference, doesn't it? Yeah. I've got a buddy. I've got a buddy that lives near, and kind of the same thing. He actually was way back in the 90s. I went to take some guitar lessons, and he was actually the guy that was my instructor. And turned out that he liked Van Halen as much as I did. And every time I went in there, I was just like, let's just look at some Van Halen tunes. So I never really learned anything. So we kind of laugh about that to this day, But it's the same thing. It's difficult to get together and jam because family stuff. But yeah, I remember that. I would go over and I'm like, just show me this lick for this Van Halen. And he would start playing it, then we'd just go off. And I never would learn any of the theory or anything like that. It was just to show me some Van Halen licks.
That's what I'm doing now. In the meantime, there's do you know the guy on YouTube by the name of Marty 5150?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. Yeah, he's got a good channel.
I've been watching a lot of his instructional videos for playing guitar, and I find he doesn't hide anything. He just comes out and explains it as simple as you can get it. And I've been watching the video over and over and over again for Amsterdam. That he has on there, and I was like, geez, that's all that is? I mean, Eddie starts it off, he just slides down, he goes back up, and he's like, and dropping down to the strings that are there, and it was like, wow, that's what that is? And then it seems strange to me, because it's like, when you're messing with something like that, and like Eddie says, it comes from somewhere and comes through you. Like, I was messing with that, and just happened to be remembering the seventh seal, and that the little run that Eddie does after the monks come in.
Yeah,
and it just came to me. It was just like, and it was there.
Yeah, I think a lot of when I'm learning different riffs or something, I'll start to notice. I'll be like, hey, that's the same little triad or whatever that he uses for this or that. So as I find that as I learn more of his catalog, I tend to start learning, okay, these are kind of the shapes that he likes, and these are the phrases that he uses. Like that little change up in Get Up that I was playing the other day. Let's see, was it? That is the same exact position that he plays that change in Pound Cake with the same chords. It's the same. And then that's the same chord that he uses for like Unchained, just that little. And then, of course, Panama is that same chord with some different stuff. So he likes a lot of the same chords and the same positions and even phrasing.
Even when I watched a live video of them performing "Finish What You Started," and the comparison is humans being. It's like it's instead of it. The first little part, there's a little intro to humans being, and then he goes into it. Yeah.
course, it's not drop D, but yeah, that little part there you're talking about.
Yeah, he uses that in finish what you started. I think it's a picking pattern though.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the similarities to it, the same melodic similarities in it.
Yep. Yeah. You know, it's a vocabulary. A guitar player will.
AC/DC and Judas Priest.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
start going into anybody's catalog, you start seeing.
Yep.
Oh, hey.
Yep.
It's like James Hetfield said. You treat the song like a junkyard. You take a piece off this car and a piece off that car, and you by the time you get all your pieces and you put it together, you got another whole brand new car.
Yep. And I've actually had, back when I was playing with a band, I might have a lick that I'm trying to learn from another song or something, a cover tune. And I'll be like, hey, wait a minute, that sounds really cool. And what if I did this? And then I kind of write my own thing off of it. That riff that I like to play when I start the show, and I've played before. You would have probably no idea where I kind of was inspired for that. I was watching the movie The Matrix, and at the end, Rage Against the Machine song came on, and I forget what it's called, but it's like they do. Something like that on that song. I forget what it's called. Rise Up, maybe something like that. And I was trying to learn the beginning of that because I thought it sounded really cool. And I think it's let's see. Something like that. But with that, I just took it and went the other way with it. Just kind of walk down with it. So, it's inspiring to learn other people's stuff and learn their little riffs and then kind of do your own thing with it. So music is always cool that way. You can catch up on some of the comments here. Man, you guys are really going. Let's see. R2 says he spent hundreds of dollars on parts at FU Tone for sure. Keep me away from that place. I can fill up my cart quickly. Yep. A lot of cool stuff, especially when you start getting into the titanium set screws and the blocks and all that kind of good stuff.
Wake Up. The song's called
Wake Up. That's it.
Zack de la Roca.
Do you happen to have it pulled up?
I could.
Kind of interested to hear the beginning of how that goes again.
And we're going to present to you this tab.
While you're doing that, I got to go off camera for just a sec. Hang on.
Oh, jeez.
He left you the controls.
He didn't leave me the controls.
It's very interesting. When Ryan was playing that riff, I was hearing Kashmir.
Yeah, there's similarities. There we see Trev in his natural environment.
Here we go.
He's back.
Yeah, so you can kind of hear the inspiration in that. I don't want to play a whole lot of it so I don't get dinged. Not that it really matters, but you can hear the inspiration of where that riff came from.
Yeah.
You know, and I've heard musicians say that, you know, there's no new music. It's just everybody steals from each other and puts it in different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
So in 1983, the Floyd Roses came in boxes like this. Silver lettering, stuff on the side. That's 1983 box. 1984, boxes look like this. Gold lettering, Kramer. That's where they started to say original.
Cool.
Of course, these are empty because I use the damn things. I'm looking through all my parts to see if I could find one of these screws to replace this one with.
You're not going to use one of those original boxes to ship that one to Snow Lancer?
Oh, hell no. The box is worth $60.
Let's see. Let me catch back up on some of the chat here. Let's see. He's talking to Janice at Baron Guitar. Never heard Edward tone so dialed. Is that Rick? Thanks, dude. Let's see. Trev, you're a bad influence.
I know.
He says he's craving a Camel no filter really bad.
Pretty serious smoke.
L&M Guitar Corner says, I'm working as a software developer in the back end for augmented reality applications in the industry for maintenance and guided workflows. So L&M Guitar Corner is volunteering to write the new game program that we need for Guitar Simulator.
Looks like Baron's got some ideas already where you got to go out and flip burgers and play games to make money and
Yeah.
forge your guitar
Yeah,
parts.
yeah. You got to go and work at your fast food place for 8 hours before you can come home and build your, or a paper route. That would be a good one too.
Another one, yeah.
So you can buy your guitar.
Pizza guy, or although I guess this day and age it's an Uber Eats guy.
Yeah.
Hey, L&M, man. If you build plastic models, I started a model building club, which I handed over the reins to my friend James Merritt. But it's called CAMO, Creative Alternative Modeling of Oklahoma. It's on Facebook. And you can jump in there. I know you like cars. Here's one. I got this for a present. And I haven't really been building in quite a while, but we started that club away from attitudes and opinions of the other club that we were in. They were very close-minded and thought a lot of themselves. So we started this. Check it out if you're into that kind of thing.
So we've got Baron Guitar has noticed that Trev's pedal board is visible.
That's when you stepped away and highlighted me.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So you've made some progress on that? You getting it put together?
No, not yet. They're just sitting there on top of the toolbox. I do have another pedal coming next week, and once John DeShane settles into his new board with his pedal switcher, I get his old board, which is got 3 times the real estate than what I need for my pedals. But
I got you. Yep. And plus, you know, you're busy with your 35 hours of committed practice so far.
Set up and play, right? Quit turning knobs and diddling around.
There's no time to do anything else. Snow Lancer is asking if that's the one that he won, Robbie. I think that one's all put together already and ready to go. Snow.
Oh, yeah. The one you want is this one with the big brass block. It's got the older style bar. It's shivved up for 10-inch radius. Yeah, this one's all together.
Good to go.
Yeah.
Plug and play.
I'll probably be sending it on Wednesday.
Nice.
This one I just put together now. Out of parts I had laying around in the bin.
Sweet. And that one's
This would be an 85.
And that one's shimmed up, just same 10-inch radius.
Right. Yeah, I cut the shim and did that.
Very nice.
And, yeah, this is an 85. It's got a flat black arm on it, but it's pretty worn on.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's got a little bit of bubbling on the finish on the top here. You can't hardly notice, but there's a little bit there.
Yeah, I don't think any guitar player worth the salt would give a about that.
Well, I do. So, yeah, you know.
Let's see. Let me catch up on some more of this. He says, I've never had one with the screw-in arm, Robbie. Is that what Edward liked?
Yes.
You know, did he have his most current Wolfgangs like that, or did he just use the regular screw? Who knows?
I don't know. You're talking apples and oranges here. I'm talking about Edward, you know, in like 1982. You're down the line, you know, all these years later. You know, you're talking about what a company wants to make stuff out of, what they think is going to sell, you know.
Yep. That's why I say
Edward had more pull in Kramer than any of the companies that he worked with since.
Mm-hmm.
And even they didn't give him everything he wanted. So,
well, too, now, like I said, the marketing, you don't know. I mean, he may say, yeah, this is exactly what I play. Well, yeah, but then you take it and you have your nut upgraded and the Floyd upgraded. So who knows? Who knows what he played?
oh, sure. He was going to play one of them Floyds. That thing could have really stayed tuned very well. I'm sure he had plenty of Floyd Rose bridges left over from the early 80s. Because, I mean, he used to take the tension spring out, and he'd take the shim out too.
Spacer out, yeah.
So the fine tuners, all you had holding the fine tuners to keep it in tune was the tight tolerance on the fine tuner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, ones that were loose wouldn't have worked. And after a while, those fine tuners would get a little looser, and it wouldn't stay in tune. So he would use another bridge. So he's changing bridges constantly.
Speaking of stripped out, MPN says he just stripped his A-hole on his locking nut. Nothing worse than a stripped out A-hole, I guess.
Oh, I don't know. That sounds like a personal problem. Hey, anybody that left me messages, anybody left me messages, I can't see the chat. I'm on my phone. So, you know, if I'm not responding, I'm sorry, but
yeah. I'm trying to catch them all here for you, Robbie. Looks like everybody's just kind of talking amongst themselves. He's looking for a new nut. Can get it on Guitar Center. Let's see. Sorry, I think you mistake me with Laz. Haven't built models in a long, long time, is what L&M said.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you did 125 scale in the chat at Laz's.
He thanks you for the offer, however.
Okay.
R2R3 says get original Floyd Rose parts. They are higher quality. I think Robbie agrees with that.
Yeah.
I think we went over that already.
Well, guys, I'm going to have to bow out gracefully here. My charger for my phone seems not to be working, and it's just gave me the warning twice.
All right, man. Well, thanks for stopping in. We'll catch you next time.
All right, guys.
Thank you,
Rob,
Rob.
Trev,
Cheers, Rob.
you're welcome. Thanks for the opportunity, Ryan. It was always a pleasure, guys.
Yeah. We'll see you next time, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Let me see here. There we go. Let's see. Eddie played Eruption on a 6-screw Fender synchronized trim. How did he pull that off, Robbie? Well,
I'll tell you what. You know, he did his best to keep it in tune. You know, with the way he wound him on a string. We all seen that video. The guy telling us about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we oiled the screws. Had the screws off the body. You know, a little looser.
Oiled the brass nut. Yeah.
Springier springs. But even with all that, it wouldn't really stay in tune very long. So the thing was, and he played the Eruption, and then he'd do the guitar swap like really quick, you know, and somebody be tuning his guitar, when he wasn't playing it. So it wasn't like he could just play that thing, play it. So I like the Floyd Rose so much.
Something that I have found on the Pacer Special, which has just the standard Fender type trim, is that I've got it lubed up at the nut and, just a couple little tweaks and adjustments to it. And that thing stays in tune pretty well. However, when you bend a string like a G, you do an up bend on it. A lot of times that knocks it out of tune. And if you notice a lot of the earlier songs, you'll notice that a lot of times he'll do a dive bomb or something with his bar, because that tends to pull it back in tune.
That was Pete Thorne's thing, right? He was telling us about that too. You do a bunch of stuff, it's out of tune, you just do a quick pop, pop, and
do a quick little or something, and it would pull it right back in. And I noticed that with that guitar. So a lot of times some of the that kind of stuff was to get it to back in tune. It's kind of cool to listen to that. After kind of knowing.
I'm glad he did it. I like that.
Yeah. Snowlancer says his Stripe series has an EVH branded on the fender. It's surprisingly near a German. I think it's a 1000. It's not as smooth as a German, but closer than a 1000 special, probably is what you mean. They're not bad, but there's definitely a difference in the actual German made. Let's see.
Absolutely.
Can you take the 6 screws out on the fender trim and use 2 titanium screws to get the 2-piece Floyd effect? I would say that you probably could do that. I don't know what change it would do, but your outer 2 screws are really kind of your support, knife edge on the 6, and then the ones in the middle. Typically those are pushed down a little bit further, and that's just to support the whole pressure that the thing is under. It's the outer 2 really that you're pivoting on anyway, even with all the other screws in there, right?
Well, that's what Vegatron does too, except they have a hinge.
Yeah, and they've got a much beefier bar that you would be screwing down to support all of that pressure on the rear. So, who knows? Let's see. Everybody's saying bye to Rob. Let's see. He had a system of how many winds, his 6 screws loose. Yep. Yeah, I think if you watch that video with Chip Ellis, he talks about how the outer 2 screws, you would come up like 2 turns back from flush to the body, and then the other ones were only half a turn or something like that. So, very specific way that he had that thing set up. Whammy wanking was a happy accident. Six Finger said he swaps to the Shark after eruption while the Echoplex was ringing out and hit the switch and straight into You Really Got Me. Supposedly Edward told Fender how he did it to keep in tune, and they made the video about it for the new release. Yeah, I think a lot of stuff he talked with Chip Ellis about, when they were doing the Frankie release. MPN says quick jerk of the bar, playing some stretchy string runs will pull the strings back in tune. Yep. Snow says put Floyd Rose tails on all my Fenders except my Stripe series. The rail tail is hard decked like Edward did. What do you mean a rail tail, Snow? Do you know what he's talking about? Robbie?
I know Floyd had a different trim that they came out with. I'm not sure if that doesn't require a route or something. I'm not sure. I never used it.
Is it like a top all top mounted or something? Floyd Rose rail tail trim.
Okay, yeah.
That's one of those. I think that's the hinge deal too, kind of like the Vega.
Right.
Yeah, he says it's drop in with no route.
Right. Yeah, I never did that.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. I didn't know they made such a thing. How does it attach to the body? I mean, obviously there's a pivot point. I don't see. Oh, is there something that screws down and then it kind of clips to it?
Good question. How does it screw down?
Yeah, I bet you there's a little plate, and then that kind of slides over the plate, and then that's your pivot point.
I kind of want to see it from the other angle.
Yeah, that little bar looking. Yeah, right there. Yep. I bet you that's what screws down, and then that clips on top of it.
On top of that.
Yeah. Snow Lancer says he puts those on everything. It's dope. I might have to look into that. I've been trying to think of what I might want to do with the Pacer.
$370. You might as well get the Vega trim. No?
I don't know that I like the big, huge space that the Vega trim leaves in the back.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, the Vega trim does not go down to floppy.
Yeah, right.
It cannot deck, and it does not go to the strings being blip, blip, blip.
And he says that whole thing is machined in Germany, so it should be pretty good quality. So we got somebody that's hanging out backstage saying, called Hello Guys. Does anybody know who that is? They don't have a camera on.
Guys. Nope.
Yeah. So if they're not going to turn a camera on so we can see who they are, they're not joining in. So I'm about ready to probably wrap up for the day anyhow. Did you guys have anything else?
No. It's been a
Robbie?
blast. Got 45 minutes till Pete jumps on. Well, half an hour, I guess.
Yeah, so just about right on time.
Time for a snack and a hydrate.
Yes, it's time for something. So appreciate you guys hanging out. It's always cool just to kind of sit and chat, even if we got nobody watching. So, Robbie, appreciate you sharing your knowledge, your wealth, and
As always.
I don't know about wealth, but
well, your wealth of knowledge.
okay, yeah.
Yeah,
that'll work.
So we will catch you next time. Thanks you guys for jumping on again. Thanks everybody in the chat. We will see you next time around. Yeah. Peace out. Later. Bye.
Bye-bye.